have a message. Usually give a message for existence of the life, a message. Someone has to give the message, but it also has to be delivered. In the message of the life of any procedure or process of life itself, in a nation, individual, a direction, the message has to be in an environment in order to be able to be delivered, to be applied. Because with the message delivered, it has to have the tools in the right automobile. You know what I mean? It has to have the right tools, the vehicle of life. But if that message is in like a holding place or in the environment or the Aristotle categories that it doesn't fit in that new environment, the message becomes obsolete in some ways, or even unuseful. But on the other hand, on the reciprocal, the message is very important in order to keep the original plan that you already have the foundation, if it already exists. And this is, I'm relating to nations. And so hence, I am relating to nations. I'm not relating to a scientific structure. So we have to carry, and I'm relating to scientific structure also, but general in nations, all nations, but not a particular scientific structure such as trying to change a pharmaceutical medicine and making it better. I'm talking about a whole nation. Hence, it's obvious by logic you have to have a new vehicle, a new plan, a new road. The roads have to be made different for the message of bringing peace and justice in your environment of your nation. And so, therefore, how do you get that peace and justice? What is your initial achievement in your nation? And for us, for America, and mostly all the nations now, they want to bring justice and peace. All the nations have become evolved, and so they want to help all their people. In general, they want to make their nation strong. So hence, we have to make new laws, because there's very serious things of the immigration. Because they use immigration as a war tool. It's a war. It's a war tool. Immigration is a war tool because of geopolitical powers, and so it has to be changed. And then also, it also deteriorates what the immigrants should have, because of their birthright of their land. Because all their lands now, they have all the tools to make their lands evolved. Do you understand? So, and then again, referring to that page, that article on Paradigms of Power, it shows why it's necessary to make new laws. So I appreciate your time, but the message of peace and justice and bringing a great land is in a different environment now. So we need to fix the environment, or bring the message in an environment that makes an equilibrium to produce a good enough and a successful nation. So thank you so much for your time. God bless you. And hence, it is new laws and assessing integration, also with working hand in hand in diplomacy with each country to develop businesses, cross-cultural, as I stated, to help the immigrants, whether they have new businesses in their land or in the land that they're already in, and to give them legalization in the land they're in, that's their visiting country, or if they have to bring back, give them their birthright to their land and business. And the visiting land CEOs, they can work together with the immigrants' mother's land and build businesses to achieve the life skill, the life existence and self-sufficiency of the immigrant itself. And at the same time, they can make big money, the CEO people. They could do a lot of farming too. The farming, I believe we could do a lot with farming, that they could give them land, give them a house, and they give part of their farming to be able to have their own house and have their farm. This could be one of the answers of one of the businesses. And then, and I think cotton for material, the material has to be changed. We can't use any more synthetic, and that's what I told that Bezos. I told Bezos no synthetic cloth, and it's going to cost more money anyways in the long run. I talked about that, about generated energy and ungenerated energy, and then also the infrastructure has to be cleaned in each country, not only the immigrants' country that they left because they had to exist. You know, most of them, I believe, most of them came for existence, but I believe in some portions now that unfortunately there's disrespect, and that has to be taken care of right away. It's another issue. So the disrespect has to be taken care of right away. There has to be new laws about that. No disrespect, no threatening, and they have to be legalized. So this is very serious, because the old way of the immigration is like a typewriter, you know, but we never evolved and made it relevant to all the aspects of the evolution of our country itself, in every science, whether it's education, whether it's agriculture, whether it's politics, whether it's finances, whether it's education, if I said that, travel, military safety. We never evolved. We never evolved a proper structure of immigration, and most of all, really to protect the immigrants themselves, because 1 out of every 4 gets their traffic, and then it's called a genogram, where over centuries and centuries of time and generations of time, there's disease because it was never changed or fixed. So we are actually abling and abetting when we allow immigrants in without assessment because of the geopolitical problems. And they also in the future could be used, because just like they're forced into protesting and so forth, or they said they'll kill them in some aspects of belief systems, and that's 86% almost. And so we need to do that. We need to do this right away. It's very important, because otherwise, and then so I told you a few of the reasons why is immediately we have to close the borders and give legalization to the immigrants, not to stop them coming in, but legalization, because the immigrants have built our countries. I'm an immigrant too. My family's from Italy. One of my families, my grandparents were born in Italy. My great-grandparents, and I think, and then so I'm from an immigrant family too. But we follow the directions of being a citizen. So all is well, but that's what we need to do, because they also could bring certain things over. Do you understand? To destroy our nation. It's not like 20 years ago they made fentanyl, they didn't make it. There wasn't geopolitical powers. There wasn't fast technology. There wasn't 9 cartels. There wasn't geopolitical powers of other countries. This is the list of the paradigms of power. And then we didn't need regulations, but now we need regulations. And then there wasn't so much corruption as much in government. And so we need to come together in truth and reconciliation, get this fixed right away. And we have to have the same cultural unity that respects the original culture of each nation. Otherwise, they have to decide: am I going to go with the culture, or if I'm going to go, or that I'm living in, or I'm going to go with my culture? Then that means that they have to go to their culture. Because culture is life, culture is law, culture is existence to life itself. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. This is Lisa Lucia Arden, International News of Lisa Lucia Arden. I saw two roads, like two sides of opposing ideas or different cultures. For example, when there's a gap, the gap has to be filled with likeness. So there's unity. And the issue with immigration is that the foundation is tension when there's immigrants that come into a nation that is different from theirs. So when it's not respected, the foundation, the soil itself, maybe it's the soil has to give a certain type of water, that needs more minerals in one country, and another country has other type of water that needs other minerals that are just naturally there. And so what happens is that you water the soil with the soil of the land with the natural water. Do you understand? But it's not watering the division of the side that people don't plant the seed in the soil properly. And those are the ones that don't respect the nation itself. And then there becomes a gap. And then the gap is like a dried out river. You know what I mean? Because there's tension and friction. And they're fighting against each other. And this is why the gap has to be filled. Because we did not change. We did not fulfill and change with the times and the changes in each society and a nation itself. Because it is organic. Because people are organic, they're spiritual, not just physical. And so we need to fill the gap. And what is the gap? The gap is the opposing sides, and one side doesn't believe one thing and that they should believe of respecting the nation that they're in. So I believe, for me, we need to respect the nation that you're in, the original culture, but it has to be the highest justice. It has to be the highest justice. It can't be secondary justice. And we know what the highest justice is. Thank you so much. God bless you. So let's fill all the gap. The gap. And so it's watered and mended together in unity. And plant a river flowing of living water when there's respect of the original nations, ideology, and spirit of life. Because people define spirit of life different. So respect the spirit of life in each nation, the original spirit of life. And it shall be done. Miracles shall happen, and you'll have a restored nation. Thank you very much. This is International News of Lisa Lucia Arden. We're back on again. We took a little break there. And I want to say that we don't want to threaten, and we don't want to bring negativity or pessimism. Our future negativity, but we do need to be aware that it's not like 20 years ago the masses didn't have all the tools to express themselves with the emotion of life existence, of survival of the fittest, of their own nation, in their own home, in their legacy of their blood, sweat, and tears, generation after generation. It's not like 20 years ago. Now many people have tools where they can express themselves to protect their livelihood, their original nations, their family, their years of blood, sweat, and tears work of a nation itself. So we have to realize that we need to fill in that gap. Otherwise, there will be blood, sweat, and tears for these countries if they are not respected. This is not a threat. This is not a warning. This is a truth. We can do this. So that, hence, just as long, it took like 20 years to bring all these countries that are in balance, the ones that have disrespected the country they're visiting. It takes time, we'll have to fix it, but don't be impatient. We could do this in we could do this faster than the last 20 years they became a mass majority in some nations, because we have tools of technology, evolution of business, and also brilliance of ideas. So be patient. Just like the airplane, the little airplane that they made, you know, it was like a little helicopter, small plane, and then they made a huge plane that we're in now today. I'm speaking right now in a flight. And it took years for them to develop, correct? And it's just amazing how the plane could just stay up in the air. It just still amazes me, the physics. And it's just exact measurement. You know, that the mystery of science itself holds the plane in the sky and delivers the people from one place to the next. And that's the same with each nation and each community. We have a beautiful plane that of almost like wings of heaven above, that we could restore our nations if we're patient and use the highest justice. And with the highest justice, you always get wisdom, because when you have the highest justice, wisdom enters into that space by nature. Thank you so much. God bless you. We are going to do this. Thank you. Save your nations.